With many wading into the conversations with regards to policies and speeches made by Labour and the Conservatives, because let's face it, no one really cares about the Liberal Democrats, and the SNP only hold influence in Scotland, and to the rest of the world, that's another country in the United Kingdom. Donald Tusk, President of the EU Council, has decided to wade in with a few opinions of his own, and I thought it wise we now address them. His belief is that the United Kingdom leaving the EU would signal the end of the British Empire, with him following up by saying to Remainers, "Don't give up." This condemnation of Britain's attempts to get out of the bloc comes from the outgoing EU Council chief during a speech in Bruges. Now, he has admitted he was deliberately breaching diplomatic protocol by using the speech to claim the UK could only be a global player as a part of the European Union. I'm starting to think he's getting ideas above his station and thinking far too highly of the European Union. It's possible he's taking lessons from UK politicians who are too pessimistic to see the opportunity. Understandably, many Brexiteers have compared the Eurocrats' intervention to a jilted lover, comparing it to a demonstration that the importance of cutting ties with Brussels needs to happen quickly. Former Cabinet Minister Owen Paterson said that the comments made by Donald Tusk on the sovereignty of Europe as a political entity explains why so many voted to leave. A belief held by many is that the UK should govern itself and not be a part of a European superstate that dictates terms as part of membership. Openly admitting that it was unconventional, he told the audience that, "I want to tell you something I wouldn't have dared to say a few months ago, as I could be fired for being too frank. The UK election takes place in 1 month. Can things still be turned around? Hannah Arendt taught that things come irreversible only when people start to think so. So only words that come to my mind are simply, don't give up." I have heard repeatedly from Brexiteers that they wanted to leave the EU to make the UK global again. You could hear in these voices a longing for the empire, but the reality is exactly the opposite. Only as part of a united Europe can the UK play a global role, and the world knows it. I have heard the same in India, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, South Africa, that after its departure, the UK will become an outsider, a second-rate player, while the main battlefield will be occupied by China, the US, and the EU. What I like about his comments are that he is utterly oblivious to the fact that we know things aren't going to be great at first, but the opportunity to then thrive after having dealt with you is there. I don't want to be a part of the European Union. I don't want to be a part of something we have no real say in, even as members. No influence over, and you can now say, "Oh, that's democracy." You're right. But the EU is not a governing body. It was never meant to be. The fact it has become one is a huge overreach. Backers of Brexit say the UK will achieve a new global status unshackled from EU rules. It should be pointed out, by the way, the UK's economy is the 5th largest in the world. How are we second-rate if we're in the top 5? Tusk believes that only a united Europe can confront an assertive China. Who cares if China is assertive? How about instead of treating China like an enemy in a trade war, you instead work with them to show them how democracy actually works, how human rights work, how education works. Things that many people in China don't have access to. Since Tusk is on his way out, he is using his opportunity to voice his desires for the UK to change its mind and stay in the EU. I'm starting to understand now why he's the former Polish Prime Minister, because there's no way he'd be Prime Minister now. Understandably, many politicians around the world are worried that UK will alienate itself from other friendly countries. You mean like how the EU, let's call it a country for the time being, shall we, is with, let's say, Russia over bogus reasons, and with China, because reasons. Interesting. Donald Tusk should not be meddling in British politics, but his opinions are rather interesting, as they show what these people, who we have been dealing with for years, really think. and the moment he opened his mouth, he showed just how vapid he was, and a bit of a hypocrite.